All right, so I'm right here. I have everything laid out. My plan is set, and I'm looking at my colors that I have here, and I'm trying to figure out what would be the next step in terms of the colors to use to differentiate these forms. And I could go in a lot of different directions here, but what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to figure out in terms of value, what's the lightest, what's darkest. So the first colors I started off with are these three, and that's these three here. And this yellow-orange one was the lightest. This is the red was a little darker, and the violet color was a little darker, as you can see right here. And then after that, I started to use the blue, this blue, to do the interior lines, the transparent interior structural lines, only because they're really difficult to see, and I wanted them to be a different color. So when I do need to find the back of a box, I can look for the blue, and it's going to help me out in the end. The next color that's pretty similar to the blue in terms of values is green, but it's a different color, so it differentiates itself more. Now, would I want to use the green at this point in time? I'm going to say no. What I want to do is maybe go with something that's slightly darker than the red and the violets that are here, and maybe within the same hue. So that would be this brownish color. The dark blue, I'm going to reserve for the very end. That is my darkest value, and that's what I'm probably going to put on it for my final coat. But for now, I think I'm going to go with this guy. And I'm doing this, I haven't really thought this through much, and I'm doing this in real time, making these decisions. But I think this will be the best decision because I can start to play around with the design and not get too confused about the old colors, I think, unless I change my mind in the process, but we'll see. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to erase rectangles. And I'm going to use this guy here. This is my little handy dandy eraser pencil, and if you push this in and push this in here and then push it out a little bit, I'll push it out just there we go. And I think I'm just going to shake this off just a minute. There we go. That should be ready to go. And if you need to replace these, there's a replacement pack that you can just take this out all the way once it's really shallow, and then you replace it with a new one. All right, so is there a rhyme or reason which to subtract first and which not? No, you're going to be somewhat random in the beginning. And what I'm going to do is, what do I want to do? Because these can't touch face to face, and they can only touch corner to corner, you want to leave that in mind. So I'm going to go after this guy out. And what I did, I just erased that red line here. And then I'm going to use my dark brown. And I'm going to outline the lines that I can put in terms of the front of this box and the side of this box. So you might not see very much right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this blue line, because this is the back line, and I'm just going to pull it down. And I pulled it down here, and I'm going to pull it over here. And I'm going to pull this here. And when you do this, you want to just stand up and look down. I just want to make sure I'm not a little too low. All right. So that was an easy subtraction. Once you have all these lines in it, it's pretty simple. And the light blue lines really don't compete too much once you have a darker line. And if you want to, you can outline this line here darker, just so you just go right on top of the orange and it will become darker. But you don't have to do that yet. You can do that later. For now, I'm just trying to subtract. I'm going to take this one out next. And I know I said take 2 or 3 out at a time, but I'm going to start slow. Start slow until I kind of get my system down, and then maybe I'll take more risks. Because you can always put them back in. It's not like once you take it out, you're done for. So this is a good example of a line not lining up. Do you see how this blue line here just misses this line and they don't touch one another? And that's basically where they all should meet. This is where you can stretch the truth. So I'm going to take this line and I'm going to continue it as I see it. And I'll take this line and I'm going to go right up as I see it, because that's the back corner of this line here. And it's going to go right to here. As you can see, I just ended it right here. And because this is darker than that line, this looks like a transparency. So it's starting to kind of work its way out. Now this blue line back here, if I were to put a line in right here, it really does miss that blue line by quite a bit. So what I can do is a couple things. I might even lower this line. I thought I was going to keep it right at the same line, but I'm just going to lower it just a smidge. And by lowering it just a smidge and bringing up the blue just a smidge, you kind of fake it. I call it stretching the truth. And those 3 lines are now kind of close enough to meeting that it doesn't become an issue, and it still looks like it's in line with the rest of the blue. That's fine with me. The nice thing about this too is that these 2 cubes right here are touching corner to corner. Now, instead of staying over here, maybe I'll go over on this side a little bit. I'm going to take this guy out. And once I take that out, you always want to put the other lines in. Because I've done all the work, it's pretty easy to put the other lines in. You just kind of go right on top of the lines that exist there. So I'm just going with these little blue transparent lines that go through, and I'm ending them. Notice I don't go through here because it's in front of something. So already I've subtracted this, I subtracted this, I subtracted this. I subtracted 3 cubes. What do I do next? What if I just subtracted the one below it? Just because I feel like it. And I know I said you can do 2 at a time, but I'm being cautious right now. All right, so this is going to go here. And that's it. I don't have to do anything else. Move this up. And, oh yeah, I do. No, this is not there. So I was going to put this line back in, but I don't have to. Now I have to start thinking about, like, okay, certain things cannot touch face to face. So if I leave this guy there, but I take this one out, that means I have to take this guy out because it can't touch face to face. All right. So if I leave this one there, I take this guy out. And you're going to find yourself having to take more out. This goes out. Yeah, this goes out here. And adding more in eventually. But as of now, you'd have to take this one out too. But we'll see. What am I doing here? Okay, so this blue line right here, so I have to draw the top plane of this box in. And I will do it right now. And again, they don't meet perfectly, but it's good enough. I'll leave these over there if you're driving me nuts. Now, because I took this out, it exposed the top of that box, but that box can't go there anyway if I keep this one in. And I want to keep this one in because I want some evidence of the representation of the cube still intact. So I'm going to decide to take this one out. So see this line here? It continues down right here. I'm telling you, it's so easy doing this assignment with these blue lines in, because you just go right on top of the blue lines. And they're different color. It's fun, easy to find. That's the way to go about it. Here's a blue line here, which I forgot to put this line in. I'll put this line in here. And see how this one's just missing a smidge? That's where I can kind of like stretch the truth and make it a wider line. It looks like it's doing it. It's meeting up there now. And then also there's this line back there that I'm going to put in right now. I'm just going to put this line here because that's the back. That's the back. So this row right here, if you were to go straight down, the column down, that's where that plane is. All right. So far, this is making sense. Now I'm going to take this one out. And I know I'm smearing off, and I have this wonderful brush here. I should be using it, so I don't smear everything. All right, so it looks like I drew two lines here. I'm just gonna go with the lower one. There you go. Oops, I went a little too far over. And I think you can see why this tool is so important, because you can get in there and not erase. If you were to use something big and large like this thing, you're going to erase half the work and then have to go back and redraw it. So why do that? It's better to have the right tools. Okay, that's there, and then this goes down here. When I'm lining this up, you can see I'm kind of moving it up and down. I'm making sure that it's in line with the entire blue line all the way, because if you're just looking at a small portion of it right here, sometimes you can think you're on it, and then if you look at the line here, there's a big gap between this and the blue line. You want to make sure that's in line all the way through. So when you do apply this line, it is parallel to the other lines. That's really important. I just noticed that I took this out, so this line here can extend all the way through, and eventually I'm probably going to erase it. There we go. Because these two can't touch face to face, but I'm just doing this little by little, one by one. So this is looking good here, these two. This can't happen, so maybe I take one of these two out, I'm not sure yet. And I will work my way around towards back here, but for now I'm kind of stuck in the front. So what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I don't know what I want to do. What if I were to take this one out? And then I put this line back in. This is a good example of me not lining the vertical up all the way. If you look at this line here, it kind of veers off where it should be, and it should follow that blue line all the way down. That's really important. So that's why I need this one here, and then there's one goes right underneath of it. And then I can put this line in here. That's right. This comes out too. I forgot to take that line out, and this goes way over here. All right, so I'm just going to stop this. All right, so I'm at a point where I'm kind of satisfied at the moment with maybe the first 2 rows deep in. I was tinkering down here for a little while, and I had to work silently without talking and just kind of think about what I'm doing. And what I had to do was take out this cube, draw the cube behind it so I understood where it existed, and it helped with these lines that already exist there. Drew this cube in, and then I said to myself, oh, I can put this cube in front of it, and it's going to overlap it because it is in front of it, because it's in the first row. And then I could erase this line there, and it's going to push the other cube back in space. Now, what's happening in here, I'm not sure yet. I might have to take this guy out so I can get in there a little deeper, and I might put it back. I'm not sure, but sometimes you're going to have to take things off like a mechanic would so they can access certain parts of the car. So what I would do next is either do that and start to work inward, or you can even start to think about working over here, and just by taking something out, let's just for fun, take this guy out. And just by doing that, you start to balance out the design asymmetrically. Just gonna put this back in. And that's it. Like, that's how easy that was. And maybe I'll take this negative space out. Maybe I'll take this top piece out. And so this is now looking inward. And if I were to take this out completely, then I'd be able to see on top, which I am. I'm going to see what happens here. If I take this out, then if I take this out, then I have to take that one out too. If I keep this one in, but I don't have to strategize too much. I just take it out and see what happens, right? So I'm taking this guy out completely, this top one, and then you want to put the bottom plane in so you understand where the heck it is. And this is kind of tricky right here because this is where I tried to stretch the truth with the line, and this is going to happen with some of you. So I'm going to try to like do the best. Let's go here, I think. I took that one out. Okay. The back corner goes right here. And I know in the beginning I said, take 2, take the chunks out, take 3. Now that I'm involved, I would refrain from doing that. Just do one at a time and put what you're missing back in. So this line's gone because I made that transparent. So I'm going to go down and continue this line. And it goes over here. All right, so I have the back part of that in, and remember that I said I'll have to take this out because this is touching face to face to this guy. So I'll do that now. So it's starting to form. The process, or the design process, is working, but it's a mind game. You're paying attention to what you're doing. You have this challenge about I can't touch anything face to face. You're thinking about design. It's a design mind game. So now I took this out and I want to put the top of the cuboid below it, make that more clear. And put this guy in. All right. So far I have, these are face-to-face, this is face-to-face. I said I was thinking about taking this guy out, but if I take this guy out, I might take this one out and I might put this one back in, I'm not sure. But again, you have to take pieces off to get in there, and then you can make decisions, and then you can always put that piece back on if you need some action or activity closer to the viewer. And as I'm erasing this stuff, sometimes it kind of disappears. Even though I said I was going to take this out, I'm just going to put it back in just so I don't lose it and become confused next time I sit down and work on this guy. Another thing you want to pay attention to is that as you're smearing this around with this ruler, it does pick up some of the material and just kind of drop it. If there's any texture or if there's a piece of this erase bit underneath here, it will pick it up and constantly make it darker and darker. So every so often, just, you know, be aware of that, and maybe if you can clean up some of those little tiny spots. They're hard to clean up, but just be aware of that. Once you go back in with your darkest pencil, this dark blue, a lot of that will disappear. And plus, you're also going to apply value here and cast shadows and whatnot. But for now, this is the process. This is where it is.